What is easier to do if you're a woman? Touch your friends. I think a couple of people have interpreted this as groping each other. But I feel like what I really notice in men is that they aren't as comfortable with intimacy. Sitting right up next to each other thigh to thigh on the couch under a blanket to watch a movie. Resting a head on the other person's shoulder. Gently moving an eyelash off of someone's face. Holding hands are all practices I've experienced within my platonic relationships with women that I've never generally seen men be comfortable with. Like yes, smacking each other's butts is whatever. But I think it's kind gentle physical touch that is lacking. I've known some guys who were really insecure, uncomfortable with being too close to other guys. I remember this one time in college where I saw a movie with a group of friends. There were a couple guys in that group that weren't even okay with sitting next to another dude in the movie theater. As in, they wanted an empty spot in between each other. Carry anything on your hip. Anytime I carry something heavy and place it on my hip, it's like a part of my instinct awakens. I now feel slightly less insane for having the same feeling. Like I heft a laundry basket up onto my hip, and there's some immediate connection with my inner 60-year babushka ancestress carrying an 80-pound bag of horse feed. Hiding sexual arousal. You've never had to belt tuck your clitoris. Not yet. You probably just haven't met the right guy yet. Be patient. Physical contact. If I feel like it, if I need a hug, I can just cuddle with my girls friends. I don't think it's that easy for guys. Straight facts. Last time I had a hug was a few years ago. Damn, now that I think about it, I haven't had a hug in a few years too. Gotta get yourself some hugging homies. Me and my homies hug all the time. My guy friends hug as a greeting. Try it out. Apparently women fighter pilots handle G-forces better than men. Mainly due to being shorter and their heart not having to work so hard to pump blood to their brains. Short men also handle G-forces easier for the same reason. Yep. As a tall guy 6'4", G-forces duck with me big time. In fact, 2 weeks ago I passed out on an especially intense roller coaster. My wife, who was sitting next to me for the ride, cackled with laughter when we saw the on-ride picture, and I was out like a light. That's why you have to squeeze your butt cheeks when you're going down the roller coaster drop. It's a technique called hooking that fighter pilots use. They tense up their muscles and grunt and push, almost like trying to force out a super constipated shit. It forces blood to the brain. Edit. Here's an article link that explains why it's called that. It's an anti-G straining maneuver. I'm not a pilot, I just remembered reading it sometime. I don't recommend trying it at home. You'll probably just get a headache and you might possibly crap your pants. Work with children. As someone who works in early childhood education, I've had the cops called on me 3 times when I took my kiddos to the park. Thankfully I know the beat cop quite well, so it has never caused me any real issues. But the fact that people see adult man interacting with children and assume I'm a violent predator honestly hurts a lot. My team is all big, burly, heavily tattooed men, but we are all insanely qualified to do our jobs. But that all means nothing to some random Karen who sees scary looking me give piggyback rides or do a girl's braids. I had a bad childhood and just want to care of the little ones. Kindly duck off. Ugh. I remember in college people thinking I was a pedo just because I volunteered teaching art at an inner city pre-K over winter break. Haven't really felt comfortable interacting with kids ever since. I got the cops called on me in high school cause I went to the mall with a female friend who was significantly shorter than me. They thought I had kidnapped a little kid. The woman who followed us till the police showed up was shocked when she found out the girl was older than I was. Wow, just wow. My ex-BF is black mixed, but his little half siblings are much more white passing. Some lady started harassing them in public once because she thought he kidnapped them or something. She even tried to grab one of the kids. The kids asserting to her that he was their brother got her to back off without cops getting called. But my ex was livid and the kids were pretty distressed over it. When she realized she ducked up, she just took off. Survive the NICU. Apparently girls do much better in the NICU than boys do and tend to have less health complications. We heard that time and time again as parents to a 29-week girl. Quick source, but there are others. Link. Help a child without suspicion or judgment. Being around a child in general. I've been questioned when I was out with my son before. Once, a 30 male was on break at my last job, which was near a lake. Lots of families and people walking, hanging out, etc. I was sitting in the grass on my phone relaxing, minding my own business, when this adorable little girl walks up to me. She's maybe like 6, and says would you like to run with us? Gesturing to her friends nearby. I said no thanks. I'm tired from working, but I'll watch you. But she wouldn't take no for an answer and they all started running around me. I was stuck in this sticky situation. It melted my heart that she wanted to be my friend, but obviously a grown man playing with strange kids in a park doesn't really fly. But I couldn't explain that to her. I sat there kind of awkwardly not knowing what to do. When her mom finally walked up, luckily her mom was really cool and jokingly asked if they were bothering me. I left shortly after and said goodbye. Just glad her dad didn't run over and throw me into the lake for harassing his kid, lol. I walked out of a grocery one day and a little girl ran up, wrapped her arms around my legs and hollered daddy loudly. Mom was absolutely horrified and completely embarrassed as the little girl realized I was not who she was expecting, so apologetic, and I just laughed and chatted with the girl a moment. Apparently dad wasn't far behind me and she was shy over having made the mistake. Completely innocent and cute, but that mother looked so scared and mortified, like I was going to be angry or something, that I can't forget it. Kids are kids. They make noise, they play, they ask questions and make mistakes. Can't get bent out of shape over stuff like that. Changing babies in public. Many men's rooms do not have baby changing stations. Edit in the United States. Contrary to popular belief, females are also not allowed to change their babies if they don't like them. I'm afraid you're stuck with the one you got. Consoling a lost child in public. More to the perception of male threat, no matter how unfounded. My sister and I have different dads. Hers is white and mine is part Hispanic. I've been looking after my nephew when she's at work and stuff, and the amount of dirty looks I get is honestly disgusting. My mom had the same issue with me when I was a small child. We are mixed, but I looked very white. Most people assumed she was the nanny and treated her accordingly. Sit down on a chair without accidentally sitting on yourself. Too close to home. I'm not afraid of getting accidentally hit in my private parts. It can hurt, but not nearly as much as men's, I believe. Edit yes. I've been hurt down there pretty badly before, a chair or a table, but I don't think it's the same because nothing is. Yeah, now. Hanging down there. Plus I always thought like, what if I was a dude and suddenly someone pulled it so hard that it came out completely with all blood and nerves and skin and all that glorious stuff. It's also kinda tricky for someone to punch kick you in the coochie at the angle needed for it to really hurt. Like I'd almost be impressed. Tell that to my daughter, who ran and headbutted me directly on the pubic bone this morning. Thought I was going to puke. Edit she tried to hug me after, and I told her from the floor that I needed space. Now she's been telling me all day that she needs some space. Getting their hand into a Pringle can. Getting tattooed. Maybe anecdotal, but I have spent hundreds of hours in tattoo shops and women seem to sit better from what I have observed. Since the majority of posts here are sexual, I'll bite sales. Seriously, female salespeople are on average much more successful than their male counterparts. In my industry, industrial sales, it's an open understanding that our typical sales contact older middle-aged male is much more interested in talking to females than males. Huge sales buff if you are young and at least a little attractive. If you are a hard-working, quick-witted and social young female looking for a high-paying job without education requirements, I would strongly encourage you to look into B2B sales. All of the technical knowledge you can learn on the job. Knowing for certain that the baby is yours. Distinguish between colors. I can't find the reference now, but I once read an article where some fraudsters were sneaking into a conference with fake badges. The fake badges had a slightly different shade of color. Women could spot the difference, but men couldn't. Also, women can have the gene and not be colorblind, but if they have male kids, it's highly probable and sometimes literally impossible for them not to be colorblind. 1 in 12 males are colorblind versus 1 in 200 females. Have multiple orgasms. I'm genuinely envious of that ability. To be honest, I'm a woman, and same. Some of us only get one at a time. Some of us get none. Peeing while horny. Wear another gender's clothing. I once got a bunch of mislabeled lab coats. Somehow the service switched mine out. I was thoroughly confused as to why I felt like I was a 5-year-old trying to figure out how to tie his shoes. I literally could not work the buttons. And that's how I found out women's buttons are on the opposite side of men's. Small thing but telling what a lotion, deodorant, body wash, shampoo smells like by the label. Women's is just labeled like vanilla or lavender, but men's get dumbass names like Wolf, Hawk or Champion. Bear Fire. For men, it's manly and comes in a black bottle. Ladies, stay out. Feel the fire. Embrace the bear. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Still using multiple products like a bitch. New from Dr. Wolf Bear. Comes Dr. Wolf Bear's Miracle 11-in-1 multi-purpose dude juice, body wash, shampoo, shaving cream, conditioner, face wash, car wash, paint thinner, de-icer, shoe polish. Do I need say more? Now available at your nearest hardware store in 3 manly man scents: tobacco plantation fire, bourbon, and a hard day's work. Having a baby. Super hard as a guy. Seahorses have entered the chat. Here's a fun one. Women are generally better at conserving air while scuba diving. I teach scuba and 95% of the time my female students could stay down twice as long on their first dive than their male counterparts. It's a big pick me up for so many tiny women who think all the heavy gear is going to set them back from the big muscular guys. Update. So surprised to see this response. Glad you guys think it's as interesting as I do. Looks like some studies have been done on this. There's a Telegraph article behind a paywall that links to the studies, but for more casual reading, check this out link. In my opinion, I think the major piece of the equation does have to do with oxygen use being more efficient in women due to sheer muscle mass. But I do see there is a psychological aspect to it too. I see a majority of men take heaving breaths rather than normal relaxed breaths. Because of this, sometimes these guys will be overweighted to counteract the positive lift created by their lungs. This means they are dragging around more weight and thus exerting more energy. Along with that, I tend to see a lot of women relax in the water a lot faster than men do, so they become accustomed to what breathing regularly underwater is like. For those of you who have asked how to become more conservative divers, here are a few tips. 1. Practice buoyancy. The closer to neutral buoyancy you get, the less drag you'll have as you get accustomed. You'll find you can shed lead from your gear, which continues to make you more efficient. 2. Spend some time focusing on your breath. For the first few months of diving, my primary concern was my breath and making sure to always keep breathing. You have to counteract the desire to take deep gulps of air and instead try to find a rate at which you are relaxed. Skip breathing isn't the goal either. That will just make you want to suck down more air later as you get exerted by hold your breath. As you get used to this rate, you can play with changing your breaths to change your buoyancy. 3. Relax. Taking it slow and using efficient movements is going to allow you to conserve air throughout your whole dive. As a bonus, if you take things slowly, you are more aware of your surroundings and tend to see more life. Can confirm. My dad was a PADI instructor for over 20 years and this was a thing. He himself was able to conserve air with much training and experience almost to the same degree as a woman. It also helped he was a small person at 5 feet 1. The splits. Unless you are Jean-Claude Van Damme. Tons of martial arts throws. Female center of mass is lower down in the body than male center of mass, even before accounting for height differences. And it's absolutely crucial to certain martial arts throws. Like, you know that one throw you see all the time in movies, where someone grabs a person from behind, and that person just leans forward and rolls them over their shoulder. Yeah, that's almost impossible for most men to do, unless the stunt person grabbing them is helping with it. But for your typical woman, it's literally as easy as leaning forward. It takes basically no strength. It's all leverage. I'm a man who practices mixed martial arts, and 4 times out of 5, when I'm sparring a woman and I lose against her, it's because she threw me. Serving tables at a restaurant. While the overall sales between the men and women servers are about the same, the women get tipped much higher. People seem to have a better time at restaurants if their server is a woman. I just read an article that said women are better at aerobic energy production. Touch a breast. Why not do both? Or you discriminate the other one? There are a lot of advantages to piloting high performance vehicles that come from being smaller. Better strength to weight ratios help with G-forces. Having a smaller distance from your heart to your brain makes you less likely to pass out from stagnant hypoxia. And fitting into small places is great for fighter pilots and astronauts. Obviously not all women are smaller than all men, but women have a statistical advantage in this respect. Getting a match on Tinder. Daycare worker. Really any profession to do with kids. I'm one of only 3 male teachers in my elementary school. One perk is that I basically get my own private bathroom, since the other 2 teachers are at the other end of the school. Binaural hearing. Using headphones. Play different recordings per ear which each contain mostly gibberish with the occasional intelligible word thrown in. Women are consistently better at recognizing the words, particularly when 2 intelligible words are played at the same time. Men have more difficulty with this. The reason this experiment is fascinating and repeated many times is that cis women and trans women perform just as well as each other, with trans men and cis men together doing generally worse. We don't know why. Be pregnant. Am I pregnant or am I okay? Fun answer: it's easier for women to learn how to rock climb. Men will use their upper body strength as an early crutch and muscle their way up a wall, while women have to develop correct form and technique to do as well when first beginning. This leads to much better climbers from my observation. Sad answer: physically abuse the opposite sex. Many times if a man is in a physically abusive relationship, others will assume he isn't or can't be abused. There are numerous videos where actors have shown women hitting men in public, and at best no one helps. Some will even laugh. Switch the roles and everyone comes running to help a woman being physically abused by a man.